When a new pope is elected, the entire world witnesses a powerful and emotional moment. A man dressed in white steps onto the grand balcony of St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican, lifts his hand in a gentle blessing, and the crowds below erupt in joyful cheers. The cameras flash, news headlines spread instantly, and a new chapter in the history of the Catholic Church begins. But what people see in that moment is only the final part of a deeper, sacred transformation that began moments earlier, hidden from public view. Before that man in white faces the world as Pope, he undergoes a quiet yet powerful ritual. He receives 7 sacred items, each one rich in meaning and tradition, that represent not only the authority he now carries, but also the burden, humility, and spiritual mission that come with it. These are not just items or accessories for ceremony. They are symbols of surrender and responsibility. They remind the Pope that he is called not to rule but to serve. These 7 items connect him to the very beginning of the Church, to St. Peter, the first Pope, and to Christ himself. They reflect the depth of history, the seriousness of the role, and the commitment to lead with love, compassion, and faith. The moment after he accepts his new role, the newly elected Pope is led out of the Sistine Chapel into a small room called the Room of Tears. It is there, away from cameras and applause, that the transformation begins. Not just spiritual, but also physical. The first item the new Pope receives is the white cassock, also known as the white soutane. It is simple in design, without flashy decoration, yet it holds deep meaning. The color white has always symbolized purity, spiritual rebirth, and new life. It is the same color worn by babies on their baptism day, by brides on their wedding day, and by saints and martyrs in heavenly visions. But for the Pope it also symbolizes a kind of death. When he puts on this white garment, he is saying goodbye to his former life, his private identity, his personal ambitions, even his own name all are left behind. From that moment forward, he belongs not to himself but to the Church and to the people of God. He takes on the identity of a servant, a shepherd, a symbol of Christ's love on earth. This tradition began in the 16th century with Pope Pius V, a Dominican who chose to continue wearing his white religious habit after he was elected Pope. Since then, the white cassock has become a powerful symbol of the papacy. It stands out among the red of cardinals, the black of priests, and the various colors of bishops and clergy from around the world. It tells the world, here stands the servant of the servants of God. The Vatican even prepares 3 sizes of white cassocks, small, medium, and large, in advance of the conclave because there is no fitting session. The purpose of this garment is not fashion or elegance. It is spiritual. It represents a man stepping into a role he can never fully be ready for, and a reminder that this role is not about perfection, but about faith. The next item the Pope receives is the fisherman's ring. This item is not jewelry for display. It is a sacred symbol, deeply connected to the Apostle Peter, the first Pope. Made of gold and engraved with an image of St. Peter casting his fishing net, this ring reminds the Pope of his mission. Just as Peter was called by Jesus to be a fisher of men, the Pope must also reach out across the world and bring people into the net of God's love. Peter was not a rich man or a scholar. He was a simple fisherman, chosen by Jesus to lead the church. That calling is now passed on to the new Pope. In earlier times, this ring was more than symbolic. It was used to seal official documents from the Pope, pressed into wax as a sign of authenticity. It showed the world that the letter or decree came directly from the Vicar of Christ. When a Pope dies or resigns, the fisherman's ring is ritually destroyed, symbolizing the end of his authority. This reminds everyone that the papal office is not about the man who holds it, but about the sacred mission given by God. The ring is placed on the new Pope's finger not as a reward, but as a weight. It is a responsibility to be carried every day, reminding him that his role is not local but universal. He must serve all people from every nation with faith and love. Then comes the Palium, a long band of wool worn around the shoulders. At first glance, it may not seem impressive. It is simple, narrow, and white, with black crosses embroidered on it, but its meaning is powerful. The pallium is made from the Wool of lambs blessed on the feast of St. Agnes, a young martyr of the early church. It represents both the innocence of the lamb and the sacrifice of the shepherd. By wearing it, the Pope is reminded that he is to lead with gentleness and humility, like a shepherd who goes after the one lost sheep, even if it means leaving the 99. The shape of the pallium is also symbolic. It forms a circular band with two pieces hanging down, one in the front and one in the back. The front piece reminds the Pope of his mission to lead the Church forward into the future with courage and faith. The back piece reminds him to stay grounded in the traditions of the Church, to carry the weight of history and the teachings handed down for centuries. The 6 black crosses on the pallium represent the wounds of Christ, reminding the Pope that leadership comes with suffering, and that he is called to bear the pain of others as Christ did. Another important item the Pope receives is the red papal shoes. Although in recent years some popes have chosen not to wear them, the red shoes have a rich tradition behind them. The color red is not chosen for fashion. It symbolizes the blood of the martyrs, those who gave their lives for the faith. The Pope wears red shoes as a sign that he must walk the path of sacrifice. He is reminded that he too must be ready to lay down his life for the Church, to lead with courage, even when the journey is difficult. These shoes also connect the Pope to the history of the Church. For centuries, popes have worn them as a symbol of their mission to walk in the footsteps of Christ. Every step he takes in these shoes is a reminder that he is not walking alone. He carries with him the prayers of millions and the legacy of those who came before him, whether he is walking through the halls of the Vatican or stepping onto the world stage. Those red shoes are a sign of his willingness to serve with love and sacrifice. Next is the papal pectoral cross, worn over the chest. This cross is not about decoration or jewelry. It is a personal reminder to the Pope of the one he follows, Jesus Christ. The cross hangs close to his heart, symbolizing that Christ is always at the center of his mission. It reminds him that leadership is not about power, but about love, mercy, and service. Many popes choose a simple cross, made of humble materials to reflect their own humility and dedication. Then comes the mozzetta, a short cape worn over the shoulders. It is usually red and made of silk or velvet, sometimes trimmed with white fur. The mozzetta symbolizes authority, but also responsibility. It connects the Pope to his role as the visible head of the Church on earth. In earlier centuries it was worn by kings and emperors, but in the Church it takes on a different meaning. It is not about earthly power. It is about spiritual responsibility. When the Pope wears it, he carries the burden of leadership with dignity and humility. Finally, the 7th item is the papal staff, also known as the ferula. This is a long, slender rod topped with a crucifix. It is different from a bishop's crozier, which has a curved top like a shepherd's crook. The Pope's staff is straight, symbolizing his direct connection to Christ. He does not lead with his own strength, but follows the cross. The ferula is a symbol of guidance. It reminds the Pope that he must always walk in the way of the gospel and lead others with truth and compassion. Each of these 7 items tells a story. Together they form a sacred message. The new Pope is not taking a throne, he is taking a cross. He is not claiming power, he is accepting a mission. He is not becoming a ruler, he is becoming a servant. In the quiet of the Room of Tears, as he puts on the white cassock, the fisherman's ring, the pallium, the red shoes, the pectoral cross, the mozzetta, and the staff,